You know, the Court of Appeal earlier on, like a Daniel come to judgment, delivered a ruling on the application by the ASUU, which sought permission to appeal the order of the National Industrial Court. But in an apparent reversal of attitude, the federal government has earmarked a sum of 470 billion naira in the 2023 budget for university revitalization, which is one of ASUU's demands. Now, this is a fallout of the 20.15 trillion naira 2023 budget estimates presented to the joint session of the National Assembly by Mr. President. He renewed his plea to the striking university teachers to return to work but find alternative means of funding rather than rely on government budget. Is this too little or too late?
I think that is significant. They had made, the government had tried to tell them, look, this demand, we can meet some of these demands in the budget. They suggested 150 billion. ASUU said no. Because if we are talking about 1.2 trillion, and you are talking about 150 billion, there's still a long way to go. But I believe that given that this administration had even paid a little out of this 1.2 trillion before, and the Jonathan administration too also made some payment.
Yeah.
We are getting closer and closer. I don't even expect that all of the 1.2 trillion should be paid at once. I mean, it's infrastructure development that you want to see. You want to see infrastructure freshened up. That will take time. Constant freshening up of infrastructure in the universities could take even up to 10 years. So I believe that 470 billion, if
can go some way,
it will go a long way if they make good their promise to release the money in the first quarter. It just, in my view, ASUU just needs to trust the government. But the government did not acquit itself properly. That's why ASUU has not trusted them all these years. Because if you get into a memorandum of action with people, and as a result of that, they decided to end their strike, and all of those issues, many months after, you have not addressed even one, then you are telling them that you can't be trusted. You did the same thing to the health workers, to NMA, and they too decided to go on strike.
Yeah.
You know? But invariably, they resolved this issue. So I think that 470 billion is a good step in the right direction, given that, and it also shows that to a large extent, the government also listens, because they proposed 150 billion before now, and ASUU rejected it. Now they've gone to 470 in the budget, because where else do you expect them? You don't expect us to go and take a loan to do this. So they put it in the budget. And what we expect to see is that in future, even in future budgets, incrementally, we'll be releasing this money until we are now, we've successfully cleared that indebtedness. So I think President Buhari has done the right thing by earmarking this kind of money in his last budget.
Yeah.
Implementation and release of money, the money is also key.
Yeah.
Government will sometimes make a promise, and to release the money becomes so difficult. These are the things that they don't want. They want to see concrete guarantees that, yes, you make this promise and you are going to implement. So there are still other demands. The government must still find a way, but I will encourage ASUU to even receive, I mean, to accept this as a token of government's good intention.
Yeah.
You know, so government is a continuum. When another government comes, hopefully it will even respond to ASUU's problems better than
That's it.
this government has responded to it.
Because a new government wants to make a top impression.
Yes.
All right, welcome back. The happy news is that federal government, or Mr. President, has announced a 470 billion naira money that should go to the ASUU in 2023 budget. Even above, but the suspicion Jide talked about is a two-way street. ASUU suspects government, government suspects ASUU.
But I want to be very sincere. Let me start like this. 39% is 470 of 1.2 trillion, which is, I mean, is substantial. If government will make, you know,
yeah, good their promise
and everything. Then again, you can't blame ASUU, because do you know how many times government had promised and nothing happened? So you see, I mean, you don't just go to the table and pick up trust. You earn it. Because over the years, government lost its trust. Even some persons don't trust the government. When they say they're going to do this thing, you say, till I see it. So you can imagine the rigors of back and forth. This report will come up, nothing happens. Another committee will be set up. They will come up with their report, nothing happens. So you begin to have your doubts.
I've forgotten which great man said the best committee is a committee of one. You know, in Nigeria, we have empaneled too many committees. And I hear that panel beaters were up in arms. They went there and said, none of their members is on the panel. They asked which panel. He said, panel beaters, and so on. So we are looking for anything that will beat panels and committees in this country.
Yeah, we set up one to secure the release of the train passengers the other day. We set up a committee. We like setting up committees.
Because
the thing is,
we'll spend money.
But anyone who makes a promise is obligated to fulfill his promise. People who have honor, they know that their word is bond. They know that they have to honor their word. You can't encourage people to suspend their strike by making all kinds of promises that we are going to do this, that we are going to do this, that we are going to do this, and then
you renege.
Several months down the line, you see that there is no plan to do it. This was what pushed the doctors to go on strike. It's the same thing that pushed ASUU to go on strike. Now, I just hope that we'll be able to find a way to end this, because ASUU, after the court told them to first go and obey
Resume. Yeah.
You know, what ASUU is saying is, what some of the ASUU members are saying is, if a man is sentenced to death, will the court first tell him to go and obey that before coming back to appeal? You know, because in this case, there are many, I've seen governors sacked by the court, and they refused to leave their position. They waited until the final court, which is the Supreme Court, pronounced them. And in the end, they were able to keep their position. So if the governors had first vacated their positions before appealing, what would have happened? Now, what ASUU says they are going to meet, and that it is the decisions reached at the level of their state chapters and congresses that will determine their next line of action. But clearly, ASUU was dazed. They were not expecting
the court to
tell them to go and yes, they were thinking that, okay, that the court will allow for that stay of execution, and then look at the substantive matter. But that was not what happened. everyone is tired of this strike. I like the way the judge spoke yesterday. He told them, resolve this matter out of court. These children have stayed too long at home.
Yeah.
But it's like a fight between two headstrong individuals. And no one wants to yield any ground. This thing has become an ego thing between the two parties.
So we are saying the federal government appears to me to have won, what do you call it, a moral victory in this case. So it does not seem that the weight will be on ASUU to go to respond. But how do you react to Mr. President's admonition to ASUU to find alternative means?
Okay, at that point,
Generating revenue.
yes, I think
That should be to the university authorities.
yes,
Not us.
they should because as a university, you should generate funds internally because I mean they have various projects, they have research institutes within the university. They should generate funds. But that the funds they generate within the universities should be used to run the university, I don't understand that because it's going to be a huge one.
A good number of them can't run those universities. You see, they are setting up state universities all over the place. Those state universities without TED fund, they won't even have enough structures. What they should be doing is, if a state wants to set up a university, tell them that for the next 6 years or 7 years, you are not going to get any support from TED fund. Because I've seen private state universities full of TED fund buildings, you know? So why did you set up a university when you do not have the funds to even build structures in the university, to even pay salary regularly? Some of them can't. And you're all setting up universities all over the place.
Yeah.
University has now become a constituency project. What nonsense.
Yeah.
That is what they are doing all over the place. You can't fund them. You can't fund the existing ones. And every year you are opening up tons of state universities.
Look at the fees charged by public universities compared to the private universities. 30,000 naira for, say, a university with a student population of 60,000.
I know it's tough, but you see, it's not everyone who can even pay. A lot of our students, they don't go beyond secondary school because the parents can't pay. Some can't even pay WAEC fees. It's government that's helping them to pay. So the kind of money that private universities are taking from people, only about 5% of our population
can afford
it.
Yeah.
That's why we need the federal universities, the public universities to survive. If we go on in this way, gradually they will die.